It speaks. Different? Different than what? Different than a statue? Different than a log? Should I talk in a monotone? Yes, master, I exist to serve the master. I shall kill for the master and only for the master. Perhaps it expected me to have a booming voice. Recite limericks. I can recite limericks, if it likes. I have never met another golem. I have no idea what one might be like, or why I wouldn't be like them. Why? Has it met other golems? Did they not sound as I do? I don't know what other golems might be like, but I am already superior by virtue of my free will. This is a good thing. So is being drawn and quartered. Maybe I'm not the only one with a smart mouth, Now stop talking so much. The wagging of its moist little tongue is distracting.
Something on your mind? Of course. I didn't know them for very long, but I guess it was longer than you. You never met them all, did you? They were quite a group. Actually, they felt like an extended family, since we were all cut off from our former lives. We also laughed more than you'd think. There was this one time... Well, you probably don't want to hear stories about men you didn't know. Just one, a man named Terramel. He kept to himself mostly. I got the impression that his life before the Grey Wardens was unpleasant. There was one Grey Warden who came all the way from the Anderfells. What was his name? Gregor. He was a burly man with the biggest, fuzziest beard you've ever seen. And the man could drink. He drank all the time, but he never got drunk. Finally, we all made a pool to see just how many pints it would take to put him under the table. Sometimes, we were kin of a sort. All of us had gone through the joining, so we knew... Anyhow, it doesn't have to be deadly serious all the time. Anyhow, we never did find out. He said he'd drink a pint for every half pint that the rest of us drank. He was still going by the time the rest of us were passed out. I'm told that Duncan walked in later on and saw us all passed out from one end of the hall to the other, and Gregor still drinking. Duncan laughed until he nearly... Yes, I suppose so. I thought I was done with this, but it just struck me that I have nothing to remember Duncan by, nothing at all. There's no body, not even a token of his that I could take with me. That must sound really stupid to you. I just would have liked something of his to take with me, that's all. Well, there's no use in moaning about it, is there? He's gone. Let's just go.
Have you heard much about the Grey Wardens of old? Griffins. Alas, that seems to be the only thing people remember from the tales. The mighty flying mounts that bore the Grey Wardens into battle. Unfortunately, they've all passed back into the Maker's hand. So that wish will have to go unfulfilled. It was said that watching the Wardens ride in on their white griffins was enough to rouse a weary heart and put the dance back in the step of an old man. The Grey Wardens were powerful, feared and respected, but they also inspired the common people. I remember a tale that was told to me many years ago. Maker's mercy, it's like talking to a child. Yes, there are griffins in this story. The blight had ravaged the land for months, and the armies of the great kings had amassed for one last stand. As the sun burst through the clouds that boiled and churned in the dark sky above, it illuminated a vast, seething horde of darkspawn, with the archdemon at its head. And it was then, when courage seemed to fail, and all lost to death and despair, that the Grey Wardens came. They arrived with the beating of wings like mighty war drums and stood before the armies of men. Yes, griffins. Now listen to the rest of the story. The Grey Wardens, grim and fearless, marched forth, ever between the men and the encroaching darkspawn. They formed a shield of their own bodies and held that line until the archdemon was dead, and the last darkspawn lay trampled in the dirt. And then, demanding neither reward nor recognition for their sacrifice, the Grey Wardens departed. When the clouds finally rolled back, and the sun shone full upon the blighted ground, the great kings knew that they had lost no men, and none of their blood had been spilled. You are observant. This is a tale about no battle the Grey Wardens have fought, and yet about them all. They have always defended us from the Darkspawn, taking losses so we do not have to. People may have forgotten over the centuries, but nothing has changed. This knowledge has been blessing and burden to Grey Wardens past, and now it shall be your blessing and your burden.
What is your desire? All right, but I get to stare at you luridly while you do so. Well, the only one that's really worth telling is the story of the mission right before I came to Ferelden. But no, I would rather not. I shouldn't have said anything. Perhaps another day. I apologize.
You've seen and touched Andraste's ashes. They are the holiest thing on this earth, the remains of the Maker's chosen. I do not know if I am worthy to look upon her. I suppose you could look at it that way, but she still deserves our respect. But there is little time to debate this. Let us move on.
Vieta! This land is held in trust for the sovereign dwarven kings. I cannot allow entry at this time.
King Loghain demands the allegiance of the Desher, or lords, or whatever you call them in your assembly. I am his appointed messenger.
I don't care if you're the king's wiper. Orzammar will have none but its own until our throne is settled.
Who doesn't? If I don't get in, no one should.
Orzammar has no king. Endrin Idukan returned to the stone not 3 weeks ago, sick over the loss of his sons. The Assembly has gone through a dozen votes without agreeing on a successor. If it is not settled soon, we risk a civil war.
The Wardens killed King Cailan and nearly doomed Ferelden. They're sworn enemies of King Loghain.
Well, that is the Royal Seal. That means only the Assembly is authorized to address it. Grey Warden, you may pass.
You're letting in a traitor? And a foreigner? In the name of King Loghain, I demand that you execute this stain on the honor of Ferelden. You'll hear of this. King Loghain will see you quartered.
You are free to enter Orzammar, Grey Warden. Though I don't know what help you will find.
It is the Assembly who makes a king, and a king who nominates his successor. None of it is carried in the blood.
Or, as now, when someone tries using the Assembly to pull a coup. Who's to say what my father said in his final hours, when the usurper Harrowmont was the only one by his side?
I'll have you thrown in prison.
You've bitten off more than you can chew!
Handlers, separate these dashers in the Diamond Quarter. I will not have Balin incite a riot.
Do not speak that way about the man who should be king!
Vieta, Surfacer. I'm bid to let you walk the commons, but keep your place. Warden or not, I want order. See, that's why I don't want you surfacers seeing our worst. You'll think that's all we are. The market is thin, but busy, and the tavern never closes. Bad blood is usually kept to the proving. Should toss Balin and Harrowmont in there, sort this all out in a hurry. Personal battles for honor and ancestor. I don't expect a surfacer to understand. If you must be our warden, at least know us. Go to the Shaper of Memories in the Shaperate, the true bright spot in the Diamond Quarter. They've caged themselves for fear of each other. As you've seen, keeping order down among us working people is dodgy. No place for a proper lord. Balin speaks through his second, Vartag Gavorn, in the Assembly. Lord Harrowmont speaks through Dru Ferelden from his estate. Surface problems. Well, we have no king to hear you. You can join the shouting at the Assembly in the Diamond Quarter if you want. Bunch of Desher lords bickering over sand. Balin, Harrowmont. Is one so different? No paragons here.
Did you see that? I cannot believe what this city has come to. This would never have happened when Endrin was alive. Aye. What a terrible burden for a father to have only Balin left of 3 fine sons. In the end, Endrin himself recognized that Balin cared for nothing but power. It was Endrin who ordered his son away from his deathbed and embraced Lord Harrowmont as his heir. Lord Harrowmont should be our king. He was King Endrin's closest advisor, the only one he could trust. Endrin himself, ancestors welcome him, asked the Assembly to endorse Harrowmont. Everybody knows he killed his brother Trian and let his father's favorite son take the blame. And many question whether Endrin died abed, as we were told, or whether Balin helped him along. He died in bed after his eldest son was murdered, and the Assembly condemned his second son for it. I cannot blame him for preferring to join the ancestors in eternal peace, if Balin didn't murder him himself. Only as a potential match for one of his sons. He was a good king, stern and fair and just. He is a good man and a skilled general. King Endrin trusted him with his life, and I will do no less. If you seek Lord Harrowmont's support, I suggest you talk with his trusted advisor, Dru Ferelden. He might be able to get you an audience.
Ancestors, guard my son. I'm sorry. Did you have an offering for the ancestors? Although, I can't imagine your ancestors reside in the stone. I don't know that word. This is a section of stone kept bare to receive our prayers. The stone gave rise to our people, and it is where their spirits return in death. My name is Vilda, widow of Turok of the Smith caste. I pray here every day for my son, Ruck. I only wish I knew whether I should be asking for his safe return, or for the ancestors to accept his soul. It was 5 years ago. He was only a youngster. He joined a Deep Roads excursion, the only smith to go with the warriors to repair their arms. He was so proud, but he got separated somehow. When they came home, he wasn't with them. The Deep Roads are where Darkspawn come from. They descend for miles into the earth, and we must patrol them constantly or be overrun. I lost my husband to them. If I lost my son the same way... The captains don't want to lose anyone searching for stray men. Too many were taken by Darkspawn that way. Perhaps his body could be recovered. His bones. Something to ensure his spirit is not trapped forever. That would be some comfort. Stone, guide your steps.
Let me guess. This is where the rich dwarves live, yes?
Ah, the social strata quickly makes itself evident no matter where one goes.
So the closer you live to the surface, the higher class you are. Unless you're actually on the surface.
Your mind has gone to dust if you think we would pass such a writ. Half our houses would go broke without the surface trade.
The proposal is only effective until we have a king to ensure we are respected by the surfacers.
Leaving you conveniently positioned to take over all contracts. I'll see your head on a pike first.
Desher's lords and ladies of the Assembly. I've already doubled the guard to prevent violence. Must I summon more?
Steward Bandalore, Balin's sympathizers are tying our hands with trivialities. They may as well open us to the sky.
I suggest we put the matter to a vote.
And I suggest you have a taste of my family's mace.
Enough! The Assembly is in recess until the members can regain control of their emotions. Stone-forsaken fools and dusters. I'm sorry. This is the Assembly of the Clans. Only dashers and occasional guests of state are allowed in. Forgive me. I am so exhausted. I completely forgot about the message from the gate guard. Welcome to Orzammar, Warden. I hope you can forgive our unrest. The loss of our king has hit us hard. Respect for your role is great, but you won't receive a proper hearing until we have a king on the throne. I must admit, Warden, I am at a loss myself. It lies with Prince Balin or Lord Harrowmont, and they are slow to trust anyone in these uncertain times. Dru and Alistair, Harrowmont's man, can be found at the Harrowmont estate. Vartag Gavorn, Prince Balin's second, is often here in the Assembly. I only wish there was more I could do for you.
Warden, welcome. It is always a blessing for Orzammar to host your order. I am Vartag Gavorn, top advisor to our good Prince Balin. What news do you bring? Yes, the treaty. I've seen it in the Shaper's libraries. Now the difficulty is that the treaty only compels our king, and we are sadly lacking one of those right now. My prince is the rightful king, but a disappointing number of lords back the upstart Harrowmont for the throne. If you show your support for Prince Balin, he might be able to assist with your requests. That hurts worst of all. That Harrowmont would take advantage of the dying king's delirium to plant such poisonous suspicions against his own son. After that, you understand why Balin cannot trust the word of a stranger, however reputable that stranger might be. Harrowmont has engaged in a campaign of bribery and coercion to ensure that every house serves him. But if a neutral party, a stranger, were to approach certain key members, perhaps with irrefutable evidence of Harrowmont's deception, I'm certain my Lord Prince would show his gratitude. Harrowmont promised the same portion of his estate to two different Deshers, Lady Dace and Lord Helmy. Harrowmont can't possibly grant it to both of them, but they won't find out until after the vote is cast. I have copies of the promissory notes Harrowmont gave each of them. Once they see those, they should both reconsider their votes. That's not important. If they ask, say you found them while searching the Shaper's libraries for your treaty. Don't expect this offer to last. If my prince hears you swore allegiance to his enemy, he won't be so friendly next time. I will be here if you change your mind.
I heard there was a Grey Warden here. I am Dru and Alistair. Second to Lord Harrowmont, King Endrin's own choice as successor. Word is spreading that the surface may suffer a blight. It is shameful we are not in a better position to help. That may be, and that is a terrible risk for the surface. But even if the world would end tomorrow, Lord Harrowmont cannot ignore Balin today. He cannot afford to trust anyone of unproven loyalties. If you wish to show you have no loyalty to Balin, then work against him in Harrowmont's name. Balin is hosting a proving today, supposedly to honor his father's memory. The Deshers take it very seriously, and unfortunately, Balin found some way to blackmail or intimidate House Harrowmont's best fighters into stepping down. The proving is a contest of the best warriors in Orzammar. By fighting, they show who has the ancestors' favor. If you were to enter the proving as Lord Harrowmont's champion, it would prove your loyalty beyond a doubt.
And this is to be your king. One who cannot keep his own men from running like frightened children.
Lord Harrowmont does not use threats or intimidation to motivate his men. He leads by example.
Ah, I see. So it's his example they follow as they cower from this Prince Balin.
How dare you slander Lord Harrowmont?
Why should we ally ourselves with someone too scared even to grant us an audience? Were I you, I would seek a stronger king than this Harrowmont.
Surely you don't mean Balin. Then you and I have nothing more to say.
What do you want? Ah, I suppose you're the Grey Warden everyone's talking about. It's fascinating the surface has an entire order dedicated to fighting darkspawn. Down here, that's just what fighting means. But I'm sure it's more difficult on the surface. It must be much harder to find them. Now, was that an attempt to cozen me into revealing my choice, or are you simply making small talk? It's so hard to tell with you surface types. You're all so charmingly direct and artless. Who wants to know? It certainly can't be you. What interest would a Grey Warden have in who rules Orzammar? An interesting accusation. But to cheat me, wouldn't Harrowmont and I need to be in business? Well, this isn't exactly a surface broadsheet. Where did you get these? Never mind. It is true enough, but there's nothing I can do about it. This deal was made on behalf of our entire house. Only my father can revoke it. He is leading a Deep Roads expedition, trying to secure an ancient thaig. It's unlikely he'll be back before the election, but perhaps this vote is important enough for you to brave the tunnels to tell him? The Dace family would be in your debt. He was searching an old Idukan site. He left me with this map, in case his expedition never returned. I'll give you a pass as well. Usually, no one is allowed past the front lines. Does that mean you'll go? So Balin's victory means enough for you to risk your life. How interesting.
It'll be 2 years tomorrow. By all the holy sodding ancestors, how can you people just ignore that?
Branka didn't go alone, Ogren. She took the whole house, everybody but you. So just get over to Tapster's and drown yourself already. You know as well as I do that's how this always ends.
You think I'm afraid of some cub warrior who's barely off the teat? Ha! I'll...
You lift a weapon or attack a single citizen in Orzammar, and you're stripped of your caste and exiled. Even you can't have forgotten that. Get out of here before I call a guardsman. Can you believe it? Ogren's barely even warrior caste anymore, and he just clomps in here like he's entitled. Ogren's a drunken wretch. He comes up here 2-3 times a week, hounding people to lead some suicidal rescue mission after Branka. Gets quite violent about it. I'd be scared if they hadn't practically gelded him after he killed young Lord Mino. All Mino's son said was how unlikely it was that a bunch of smiths would return safely from the Deep Roads. Which is true. Ancestors preserve us. That's what the warrior caste is for. But Ogren claimed it was an insult to a paragon. Next thing, they're in a duel to first blood to defend Branka's honor, then Ogren starts screaming and runs him through. It's been 2 years since Branka left. No one has ever stayed in the Deep Roads that long and survived. The search teams who went out found nothing, but Ogren wants to keep risking lives searching. She's still his wife, isn't she? Even if she took their entire house into the Deep Roads and abandoned him. Well, before she was a paragon, she was just a smith, and Ogren was one of the best warriors of his generation. Chasing some old treasure, she was quite secretive. Outright rude, really. She said she never asked if found a house, that she didn't care about politics, and that we were too self-absorbed to defeat the Darkspawn. She actually threatened anyone who said they'd come after her. She invented a smokeless fuel that let the Smith caste increase their output by nearly 1/3. Deaths from the Black Lung also dropped. The Assembly said she had the favor of the ancestors and declared her a paragon. They moved Branka, Ogren, and all their relatives to the noble caste and founded a new house in her name. If you see any guardsmen, tell them Ogren was at it again.
So, I've been hearing rumors that a certain wine merchant is falling behind on his payments.
I can't imagine what you mean. I pay my expenses.
What about the expenses your good friend Jarvia incurs when providing your protection? It's not easy ensuring nothing bad happens. That no one decides to just burn everything in your store.
My store! Please, I don't have much. Business isn't good. People are scared. Tell Jarvie I'll get her money.
Jarvie is not happy with your promises, old man. Now let's go inside and see what you've been holding back.
This is all I have right now. I could get more if I sell something.
Well, well. Looks like we have a visitor. Friend of yours?
Is there a problem here, friend? Are these men threatening you?
Please, don't get involved with this. You don't know what they're like.
Then allow me to make some introductions. These are dangerous times in Orzammar, stranger. Lucky us, the merciful Jarvia is offering protection from the chaos. You're wearing some fancy stuff there. Might make you a target. So if you want the Carta's guarantee of safety, it's yours for the reasonable price of 10 gold sovereigns. Or I can't say what might happen. Whoa, whoa! All right, you win. I'm not gonna die for 10 lousy sovereigns.
Ancestors, bless you for saving my poor store. I don't know how to express my gratitude. I've never met her, of course. They say she never leaves Dusttown. That's the older area of the city where the casteless congregate. She's the one directing this depravity. Since good King Endrin died, they're getting bolder. They used to be a problem only in Dusttown, but now they're in the commons, shaking honest men down for coin. A band of casteless thugs. They're to blame for all the crime in Orzammar these days. They're criminals, and the children of criminals. The ancestors themselves declared them irredeemable. These casteless, they're all the same. Beggars, thugs, and murderers, everyone. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm grateful for your help, but I don't think we have any more to talk about.
What's this? An elf? I'm sorry, but I cannot allow you past the front lines without Adesh's permission. And I've heard nothing of any new patrols scheduled to leave today. I see you have his daughter's seal, so I will not stop you. But be careful. Just because the beasts have pulled back from Orzammar doesn't mean there are any fewer in the deep roads. Either we finally have the edge, which I doubt, or the beasts are building up numbers for the next attack.
The surface? But I thought the vermin never went up that far except
during blights. Ancestors save us if that's what's happening. Of course not. Down here, you're bound to run into giant spiders, deep stalkers, and other vermin. Ugly beasts they are. Walk on 2 legs, but they have the head of a worm and hunt in packs. Watch out. They're not afraid to take on a group their own size. A few outposts. Legion of the Dead, mostly. Fools that they are. Some scavenger types, too. It's an independent company of soldiers. They accept no command but their own. Anyone who can bear arms can join, no matter his crimes. Or sanity. They hold a funeral when they join, and swear their only goal is a glorious death. Best of luck.
You pulled us from a tight spot, friend. You have my gratitude. I am Lord Anwar Dace. So how does an elf come to be down here, anyway? What are you talking about? I've dealt with Harrowmont many times, and he's always been forthright. I'm not ungrateful for your assistance, but I hope you have some evidence to back such an accusation. I don't understand. What could... These are the terms of a deal we made with Lord Harrowmont, but... the charlatan... He's promised the exact same land to Helmi. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I owe you twice now, my life and my house's fortune. We will certainly not support a man who would use my family like that. I will tell everyone I know what a wretched trick Harriman tried to play. I must return now. My men need healing, and I want to look into this. You wish to travel with us? Then let us reach Orzammar before more beasts find our scent.
Lord Dennick Helmi, honored Desher of the Orzammar Assembly, and terrible disappointment to my esteemed mother, who doesn't like me spending time in taverns. You understand what I'm saying, right? On the surface, there are no castes, and it works fine. Am I right, Warden? Very good. I guess someone already told you I was good for nothing, drinking my life away at tapsters. Or did they leave off at greatest shame to ever fall upon the Assembly? I've always liked that one. You know, most smiths and tavern keeps would make decent deshers if we gave them a chance and a seat in the Assembly. Orzammar is so mired in tradition, no one bothers asking if the castes are even necessary. Badly. Oh, you're serious? Well, it's simple, I guess. The king and elected deshers of the Assembly are at the top. Then it's the nobles. Then the warriors and all the craftsmen. At the bottom are servants. The casteless and criminals are below even that. Your caste is determined by that of your same-sex parent. And that's where you stay your whole life, whatever your skill. Me and 79 other fine, upstanding examples of how someone who's born into every privilege inevitably wants more. They're not fond of my views on equality. I doubt either candidate has been outside the Diamond Quarter in his life. But Lord Harriman seems a bit more forgiving. Prince Balin's brilliant, I'll give him that, and subtle as sin. But I don't think anything in Orzammar matters more to him than winning. Oh, well, I'd ask for proof, or why you care, but frankly, I'm so tired of it I'm not even surprised anymore. I don't even want the land, but my house would kill me if I turned it down. Responsibilities, you know. Now I'll have to go through the whole process of rejecting the deal. And they'll both have to try something else. And I thought it was going to be a nice day. Otherwise, my whole house will be humiliated. Doesn't make a difference anyway, one's as bad as the next.
Lady Dace just came through the quarter on a tear. She's telling everyone who'll listen what a leech and a liar Harriman is. Good job. So you were serious about wanting to help us. Are you ready to meet Balin now? I warn you, be on your best behavior, and keep your weapons sheathed.
I am impressed, Warden. Not many outsiders so quickly grasp Orzammar's rather convoluted politics. I am Prince Balin. Fartag told me of your efforts against the usurper who tried to claim my father's throne. My father lost 2 sons when one turned against the other. He was mad with grief, and Harriman did all he could to drive him over the edge. I was his only living child, and Harriman barred me from him. I had to tell him goodbye by common messenger. Who's to say what my father said in his final hours, when the usurper Harriman was the only one by his side? If you believe that, why are you here? Then we have a common goal. We may not like each other, but the Blight is our first priority. We need absolute unity to fight against the fulcrum of true evil. Absolutely. And sworn on the mail of my ancestors, as soon as Orzammar is united under my rule. Unfortunately, while this debate rages, I have no power to send the troops you need. You've seen for yourself, the city is a slaughterhouse. Criminals run lawless. I could never hold the throne if I allowed such chaos. I only promised to hear your story. Now I will help when I can, but I must send what troops I have now to combat Jarvia and her so-called Carta. They know Orzammar is divided now and has no time for them. It's made them bold. If I show the city I can eliminate such a threat, well, let's just say my position would be stronger. She is secretive, and is only the current leader of a group that has plagued Orzammar for years. They stay mostly in Dust Town below the city. Only castless live there, and they are too scared of reprisal to cooperate with guardsmen. And frankly, until my father's death, they only harassed their own kind. Now they attack honest citizens. Your eagerness is charming. If you can do as you say, you will have the troops you need the moment I take the throne. Unfortunately, I have little information on Jarvia. Her base of power is in Dust Town, the lowest part of the city, and my men have few sources there. Maybe the castless will talk more freely with a stranger. You know what I want and what I can give if I get it. There's little point in further negotiations. I will wait to hear whether you follow through or not.